And so when we recognize what's going on out in our communities, and when they by all appearances have rolled into Harris County.
Just sit down for a second, guys.
Yeah. By all appearances, they rolled into Harris County.
Yes.
And you've spent some time, you've been watching what's going on in Harris
Yes.
County. This is all still fairly new territory to us. And up until 9 months, a year ago, I think most of us were looking at what was going on in Chicago and Philadelphia and saying, wow, they got it bad. Good thing it's not happening here.
Yeah.
What can you say about the turn of events that you've found in Harris County and what that implies to you about how far we are on their radar screen?
Number one, I just have to say, number one, Catherine, I'm very impressed with you guys, because when I first heard about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was a tip sent to me on a website that I run, and so I started doing a little investigation. I couldn't find a lot of stories on it, but I decided to write about it anyway. And then I get the press release from Vasquez? Never, I'm Southern accent, not really good with But I got the email and I looked at the report and I could not believe what was going on. The amount of voter registration fraud was on par with these groups from ACORN, because that's what they do. They come in and they flood the system with fraudulent registrations, and sometimes it's to cause confusion. Other times it's because they're getting paid per card, and they've got to dump all those cards at the registrar's office so they can say, hey, we registered 1.2 million voters. Even if only half of them were correct, hey, we still registered 1.2 million. That's how they get their money. So when I saw that, I was like, this group is somehow connected back to ACORN. And I started following the trail, and I haven't finished yet, but from all intents and purposes, it looks like it could be related back to SEIU and America Votes, which is a big conglomeration of groups that are connected. And that's Planned Parenthood, Emily's List, ACORN, Project Vote. All of them work together, and they go into these different areas, and there's a Minnesota Votes. There's a I won't put Houston Votes in there for now, but there's a Minnesota Votes. I think there's a Chicago Votes. They just go into the different areas, and whatever the area is, it becomes so-and-so votes. So when you're seeing all of this and you realize what they're doing with the fire, when I heard about the fire, once again, I didn't get a story at first. I just heard it from a tip. There was a little story on a radio station site about it. From there, once I found out what was going on, then they were trying to blame you guys for it. It's deflection. It's smoke and mirrors. They get you to look this way. And while you're looking this way, they're doing all this crazy stuff over here. So when you think about the fact that they exposed massive voter fraud, voter registration fraud, and then all of a sudden the machines burn down, that leads the way for paper ballots.
I just have something, because I really think that was an accident.
Duly noted. But paper ballots are a problem, and they've been a problem for a number of years. When you're taking them down to the county and you pull one box out of your car, and there's a box that looks just like it right next to it in the trunk. You never know which box are you pulling out. That's what we worry about, because we want to make sure that those paper ballots are getting there without being tampered with. And at least with the electronic voting machines, there's some degree of accountability and honesty in them. I know what people say about those machines, but it's much better than having people driving ballots down to places and they happen to get lost for 15 or 20 minutes,
And so our True the Vote effort, you know what's going on with that and the type of training that we're doing. I want you to tell everybody here, and I'm hopeful that all of you are already scheduled to attend a True the Vote training so that you too may be an alternate judge or a poll watcher. But in all seriousness, please tell them how important it is to understand what they can expect to see and the fact that they are counting on untrained poll workers to not see what the other hand is doing.
As we saw in Pennsylvania with the Black Panthers, and someone just happened to have a video camera that day. If they hadn't had that video camera, it would have been their word against someone else's. They're going to be out there and they're going to be aggressive about it. Right now, because the administration has made it so easy for the others to intimidate and in some cases attack patriots and get away with it, there's going to be a sense that they can come out there and intimidate people and get away with it. The reason why we need trained poll workers is because You need to know how to document fraud if you see it, what to do, and how to get that information out there without, number one, especially if this person's still there, attracting too much attention, because you want to catch them in the act when they're doing these things. And having proper training is important, because if we're not out there, they're out there at the polls. You can guarantee that when I was working with ACORN, they made sure they had organizers who were poll watchers, who were inside the polls on election day, whether it be an election judge or whatever. They were there. Now it's time for us to stop and to take those back, because in certain counties where they have all Democrats in there, you don't know what's going on. A poll watcher is your impartial party. You're not there to push, you know, conservative beliefs, Republican beliefs, Democrat beliefs. You're there to protect the integrity of the electoral system, and we need more people that are willing to stand up and do that.